The restaurant was winding down, plates half empty. Conversations trailing off, chairs scraping against tile as families paid their bills and headed for the exit. A server moved between tables, clearing dishes, scraping food into a large grey bin, pasta, bread, chicken, all of it going to waste. Near the back corner, a woman stood beside a table, early 30s, clean clothes that had seen too many washes. She held a small white takeout container in her hands. Not from the restaurant, from home. Behind her, 2 children stood silent, a boy maybe 7. A girl, maybe 5, both watching the server move past with the bin full of discarded food. The woman waited, patient, like she'd done this before. Across the room, Steven Seagal sat alone at a small table. Casual shirt, no hat, no attention, just another customer finishing a quiet meal, until he looked up. His eyes found the woman, the children, the takeout container. He stopped chewing. The woman stepped forward, approached the server carefully. Her voice was quiet, almost apologetic. "Excuse me." The server turned. "Professional, yes, ma'am." The woman hesitated, glanced back at her children. They were watching her, waiting. She looked at the bin of food, then at the server. "Can we have some leftovers? Would you have the courage to ask?" The room didn't explode. There were no gasps, no dramatic reactions, just silence. The kind that happens when something uncomfortable enters a space and no one knows where to look. The server's smile faltered. I'm sorry." The food. The woman's voice was steady but soft. "From the tables. If it's just going to be thrown away, can we have some? If not, that's okay." The server looked at the bin, at the woman, at the 2 children standing behind her. A nearby couple stopped talking mid-sentence. A man at the bar turned slightly, watching. Steven Seagal set his fork down slowly. His eyes hadn't left the woman. The server opened her mouth, closed it, looked toward the kitchen, uncertain. The woman stood there, container in hand, dignity intact despite the question she'd just asked. Because hunger doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it waits politely, sometimes it asks for what others are about to throw away. Steven's chair scraped back. He stood, and everything that happened next changed the entire room. The restaurant wasn't fancy, not the kind with chandeliers and white tablecloths, but not a fast food joint either. Mid-range, family-friendly. Booths along the walls, tables in the center, pictures of pasta dishes on the walls. A small bar near the entrance. The dinner rush was ending, 6:30. Most tables still full, families finishing meals, couples sharing dessert. A birthday party in the corner booth singing off-key. Normal, comfortable. The kind of place where people came to relax. Steven Seagal sat alone near the window. Corner table, back to the wall, old habit. He wore a plain button-down shirt, jeans, no jewelry, no expensive watch, nothing that drew attention. His meal was simple, chicken, vegetables, water. He ate slowly, watching the room more than the food. At the table beside him, a family of 4 laughed over pizza. The kids threw crust into the trash bin at the drink station, barely touched. The parents didn't notice. 2 tables over, a couple left half their pasta on the plates, stood up, walked out. The server came by, scraped it all into a grey bin, carried it to the kitchen. Steven watched. The front door opened. A woman walked in, early 30s, Hispanic, dark hair pulled back. She wore jeans and a clean but faded jacket. Nothing torn, nothing dirty, just worn. Behind her, 2 children followed, a boy maybe 7, a girl maybe 5, both quiet, both watching everything. The hostess greeted them with a professional smile. "Good evening." "Table for 3. The mother hesitated, glanced at the menu board on the wall. Her eyes scanned the prices. Steven saw her do the math. Silent calculation, adding, subtracting. "Yes, please," she said finally. The hostess grabbed menace, led them to a table near the center. Not by the window, not in a booth. Just a basic 4-top. The children climbed into their seats. The boy helped his sister, gentle, careful. The mother sat last, accepted the menace, thanked the hostess. Steven watched from his corner. The mother opened the menu, scanned it quickly. Her finger moved down the kids' section, stopped at the cheapest item, moved to the appetizers, stopped at the salad. The boy leaned over, whispered something. She shook her head, smiled. "We'll share." The girl looked at the table next to them, a family with plates piled high, mozzarella sticks, wings, burgers, fries. The little girl's eyes followed the food, then looked back at her mother. The mother touched her hand. "We're okay, Mija." A server approached. Young woman, Friendly. Hi there! Can I start you with drinks? 3 waters, please. Sure thing. The server pulled out her pad. And have you decided on food? The mother looked at the menu one more time. Can we get the small Caesar salad and the spaghetti with marinara? Just one? Just one? We'll share? The server wrote it down, smiled politely. Sure, I'll get that right in. She walked away. The boy looked at his mother. Mama, are you going to eat too? I'm not very hungry tonight, Mijo. She folded the menu. You too eat. The girl frowned. But I ate earlier. The mother's voice was gentle. Final. I'm fine. The children didn't argue. They'd heard this before. Across the room, a manager walked past, checked his watch, called to the kitchen. Closing in 20 minutes. Guys! The mother's shoulders tensed slightly. She nodded, like she understood, like she'd make sure they finished fast. At his table, Steven set his fork down. He wasn't eating anymore, just watching. At the drink station, another server dumped half a plate of untouched breadsticks into the trash. The little girl saw it. Her eyes followed the food until it disappeared into the bin. Steven saw her see it. He looked at the mother, at the children, at the menu she'd studied like a budget report, and something shifted in his chest. The food arrived 12 minutes later, 1 small Caesar salad, 1 plate of spaghetti with marinara, 3 forks. The server set them down with a smile. Here you go. Can I get you anything else? No, thank you. The mother's voice was polite, grateful. The server walked away. The children looked at the plates. Then at their mother. She divided the salad carefully. Half onto the boy's side, half onto the girl's. She took nothing for herself. Then the spaghetti. She twirled a small portion onto the boy's plate. Another onto the girl's. The rest stayed in the center. Eat slowly, she said quietly. Make it last. The boy picked up his fork, hesitated, looked at his mother's empty space at the table. Mama, Majo? He took a bite. Small, deliberate. The girl did the same. Her eyes stayed on her mother the whole time. The mother watched them eat. Didn't touch the food, just smiled. Nodded encouragement. At the table beside them, a family stood up to leave. Their plates were still half full. Chicken tenders, fries, a barely touched burger. The server came by, picked up the plates, walked to the trash station, scraped everything into the bin. The little girl's fork stopped mid-air. She watched the food disappear. Her mother touched her hand gently. Eyes on your plate, Mija. The girl looked down, took another small bite. Across the room, the manager walked through, checking tables, making sure everything was closing smoothly. He stopped at a booth, looked at a family still eating. Folks, just so you know, kitchen's closing in 5 minutes. The family nodded, kept eating. The manager moved on, past the mother's table, glanced at the nearly empty plates. At the 3 people sharing 1 meal, he didn't stop, didn't comment, just kept walking. But his eyes lingered for a moment. At his corner table, Steven hadn't moved. His own plate sat in front of him. Half the chicken untouched. Most of the vegetables still there. He wasn't hungry anymore. He watched the little boy divide his remaining spaghetti with his sister. Even portions. Careful, the mother reached over, straightened the boy's napkin, brushed the girl's hair back. Small gestures. Maternal, trying to maintain normalcy. Another server walked past carrying a tray of dirty dishes, piled high. Leftover pizza, breadsticks, salad, all going to the trash. The mother saw it, looked away quickly, but Steven saw her see it. The boy finished his food, set his fork down, looked at the remaining spaghetti in the center plate. Mama, there's more, I know. You should eat it. I'm really not hungry, Mijo. But finish your water. Her voice was gentle but firm. Both of you? They drank their water, slowly, making it last like the food. The server returned, saw the mostly empty plates. All done here. The mother nodded. Yes, thank you. Would you like boxes for the rest? The mother looked at the small amount of spaghetti left. Maybe 3 bites worth. No, that's okay. The server reached for the plates. The little girl spoke suddenly. Quiet but clear. Can we take it? The mother's face flushed. Mija, just that little bit. The girl pointed at the spaghetti. For later? The server hesitated, looked at the mother. The mother's voice was barely audible. It's fine. She doesn't need. I can get you a box. The server's tone was kind, not pitying, just kind. Thank you. The mother's eyes stayed down. The server left, returned with a small container. The mother carefully transferred the remaining spaghetti. 3 bites, maybe 4. She closed the container. held it in her lap like it was something precious. The server brought the check. Set it face down on the table. The mother picked it up, looked at the total, reached into her pocket, pulled out cash, counted it twice, exact amount, no tip left over. She set the bills on the table, stood slowly. "Come on, kids." The children slid out of their seats. The boy held his sister's hand. They walked toward the exit. Past tables still eating, past the trash bin where food kept disappearing. The mother stopped suddenly, turned back, looked at the server clearing a nearby table. A full plate of untouched food about to be thrown away. Steven watched her face, saw the calculation, the shame, the need. She took a breath and walked toward the server. The mother stopped 3 feet from the server. The server was clearing a booth. A family had just left, 4 plates, all still half full. Chicken parmesan, pasta, garlic bread. Barely touched, she was scraping it into the grey bin methodically. Plate after plate. The mother watched. Her children stood behind her, silent. Waiting, she opened her mouth, closed it. Tried again. "Excuse me?" The server turned, recognized her from the table, smiled. Did you forget something?" "No." The mother's hand gripped the small takeout container tighter. "I was wondering." She trailed off, looking at the bin, at the food disappearing. The server followed her gaze, understanding slowly dawned. "I'm sorry," the mother said quickly. "Never mind." What do you need?" The server's voice was gentle. The mother swallowed. "The food that you're throwing away. Can we have some of it?" The words hung there. The server's expression shifted. Not pity, just surprise. She looked at the bin, at the food, at the mother. "I'm not sure if not, it's okay." The mother's voice was steady, practiced. "I understand. I just thought, if it's going in the trash anyway." The little girl tugged on her mother's jacket. "Mama, let's just go." "1 second, Mija. Have you ever watched someone throw away what you desperately needed?" The server set the bin down. "Let me ask the managers." "Wait here, okay?" She walked toward the kitchen. Fast, the mother stood there, children beside her, container in hand. People at nearby tables had noticed now. Watching, whispering, a man at the bar leaned toward his friend, said something low. They both looked over. The mother's face burned red, but she didn't leave. Across the room, Steven Seagal had seen everything. He'd watched her divide the meal, skip eating herself, count exact change, and now this, standing in the middle of a restaurant, asking for garbage, not because she was entitled, not because she was lazy, because she was hungry, and her children were hungry, and food was being thrown away right in front of them. Steven looked at his own plate. Half full. He'd stopped eating 10 minutes ago. Lost his appetite watching her. He'd been hungry before. Really hungry. Not the kind where you skip lunch and feel it by dinner. The kind where you don't know when the next meal is coming. The kind where you watch people waste food and feel it like a punch to the chest. He was 8 years old again, Detroit, winter, standing outside a bakery at closing time, watching them throw bread into dumpsters. Good bread, fresh bread, and being too scared to ask if he could have it. The manager emerged from the kitchen. Young guy, mid-30s. He looked uncomfortable. He walked over to the mother. The server followed. "I'm sorry, but we can't give out food that's already been served to other customers." His tone was apologetic, professional. "Health code regulations." The mother nodded. "I understand. Even if it's going in the trash," the little boy asked quietly. The manager looked down at him. "I'm sorry, but I wish I could, but it's fine." The mother touched her son's shoulder. "Come on, let's go." She started to turn. The manager stopped her. "But if you're hungry, I can order you something fresh on the house." The mother froze, her eyes filled. "We already ate." Her voice cracked slightly. "Thank you, but we're okay." "Are you sure? It's no trouble?" "We're okay." Firmer now, holding on to dignity by a thread. "Thank you." She walked toward the exit, head high, children following. The manager stood there, looking at the bin full of food, at the family walking away. He looked at the server. "Did we just—" "Yeah." The server's voice was quiet. Steven's chair scraped back. He stood, pulled out his wallet, and walked straight toward the manager. Steven reached the manager before the family made it to the door. "Excuse me." The manager turned, recognized him vaguely from the corner table. "Yes, sir." Steven pulled $300 from his wallet, held it out. "I'd like to pay for their meals, whatever they want. Full menu." The manager blinked, looked at the money, at Steven. At the family now stopped near the exit, looking back. "Sir, that's very generous, but they already—" "I know." Steven's voice was calm, steady, "but they're still hungry, and I'm still here, so let's fix that." The manager hesitated. "I don't think they'll accept." "Then don't tell them it's from me." Steven pressed the bills into the manager's hand. "Tell them it's a promotion. Tell them the kitchen made extra. Tell them whatever you need to. Just make sure they eat." The manager looked at the money, at Steven's face, saw something there that made him stop arguing. "Okay." Steven walked past him, straight toward the family. The mother saw him coming. Her body tensed, defensive, like she expected judgment. Steven stopped a respectful distance away, looked at the children first. Then at her. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I heard what you asked." The mother's face flushed. "We were just leaving." "I know, and you shouldn't have to." Steven glanced at the manager, who was already heading back to the kitchen. "The manager's going to bring you some food. Real food, hot food, whatever you want." "We can't. It's already done." Steven's tone was gentle but firm. "It's not charity, it's not pity, it's just dinner." The mother's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back. "Why would you do that?" Steven was quiet for a moment, thinking about Detroit, about bakery dumpsters, about being too small and too scared to ask. "Because someone should have done it for me once." He met her eyes. "And because you shouldn't have to ask for what people are throwing away." The little boy looked up at him. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." The girl whispered to her mother, "Mama, can we?" The mother looked at her children, at their faces, at the hope there. She looked back at Steven. Her voice cracked. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll sit back down." She nodded. Couldn't speak. Steven gestured to their empty table. The one they'd just left, that one still clean. The mother walked slowly back to the table. Her children followed. They climbed back into their seats, uncertain, like the chairs might disappear. The manager appeared with menace. "Set them down. Take your time. Order anything you want." The mother opened the menu. Her hands were shaking. The boy looked at all the options. His eyes went wide. The girl pointed at a picture. "Mama, can I have the mac and cheese?" The mother's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes, Misha, you can have whatever you want." Steven watched from a few feet away. He didn't sit with them, didn't make a show of it, just stood there quietly. The server came over, pen ready. "What can I get for you folks tonight?" The mother looked at her children. "You first! Chicken tenders," the boy said. "Mac and cheese," the girl added. The server wrote it down, smiled. "And for you, Mom." The mother hesitated. "Old habit." "I'm not, Mama." The boy's voice was soft. "You can eat too." She looked at him, at his serious little face. "The grilled chicken," she said quietly. "Please." "Perfect." The server collected the menace. "I'll get that right out." She walked away. The family sat in silence for a moment. Then the girl reached across the table, took her mother's hand. The mother squeezed it. Across the restaurant, Steven returned to his table, sat down, picked up his water. He didn't need thanks, didn't need recognition. He just needed them to eat. The food arrived 15 minutes later, 3 full plates, not small portions, real meals, chicken tenders with fries, mac and cheese with broccoli, grilled chicken with vegetables and rice. The server set them down carefully. "Here you go. Enjoy." The children stared at their plates, like they were afraid to touch them. The mother looked at the food, then at the server. "This is too much." "It's what you ordered." The server smiled warmly. "Everything okay?"
Yes, thank you.
The server walked away. The mother looked at her children. "Okay, eat." They didn't need to be told twice. The boy picked up a chicken tender, took a bite, his eyes closed for a second. Savoring it, the girl twirled mac and cheese on her fork, ate it slowly, deliberately. The mother cut into her chicken, chewed carefully, like she was trying to make each bite last forever. They ate in silence, not awkward silence, grateful silence. Around them, the restaurant continued. But a few things had changed. The couple at the bar who'd been whispering earlier. They paid their bill, left a $50 tip. A family at a nearby booth asked the server to box up everything they hadn't finished. "We'll take it home." Another table ordered extra food, then quietly asked the manager if there was a way to donate unused meals. Steven watched it all from his corner. He saw the shift, the awareness, people suddenly realizing what they'd been taking for granted. The manager approached Steven's table, set down a cup of coffee Steven hadn't ordered. "On the house," the manager said quietly. He gestured toward the family. "That was a good thing you did. It was the right thing." Most people wouldn't notice. Most people aren't looking. Steven took a sip of coffee. They did everything right. Ordered the cheapest meal. Didn't complain. Didn't make a scene. And still couldn't afford to eat. The manager looked uncomfortable. "I should have just given her the leftovers." "Health codes," the manager's voice was tight. "But sometimes the rules are wrong." Steven nodded slowly. "So change them." "I can't. You're the manager." Steven looked at him directly. "You can do whatever you want within these walls. So do something." The manager was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "I will." He walked back to the kitchen. At the family's table, the children were slowing down, full. Actually full. The boy leaned back in his chair, smiled at his sister. The girl giggled, covered her mouth. Their mother watched them, tears running down her face silently. She didn't wipe them away, just let them fall while she smiled. Steven stood up, left cash on his table. More than the bill. More than necessary. He walked toward the exit. Past the family's table, the mother looked up, caught his eye. "Thank you," she mouthed. Steven nodded once. Kept walking. He reached the door. Stopped. Turned back. The manager was coming out of the kitchen. Carrying a large bag, he walked to the family's table. "Mom, we made a little extra tonight." He set the bag down. "Thought you might want to take it home. For tomorrow." The mother stared at the bag. At the manager. "I can't. You already paid for dinner. This is just extra." He smiled. "Kitchen mistake." She opened the bag, looked inside. Sandwiches, fruit, juice boxes. Real food. Enough for days. Her face crumpled. "Why are you doing this?" The manager glanced at Steven standing by the door. Steven shook his head slightly. The manager looked back at her. "Because someone reminded me why we're really here." He walked back to the kitchen. The mother held the bag. Her children looked inside, excited, whispering about what they'd eat first. Steven pushed open the door, stepped into the night. Behind him, the restaurant continued. But something had changed. People were paying attention now to what they ordered, what they wasted. Who was watching? The door closed behind Steven. He walked to his car, got in, started the engine, and drove away without looking back. The parking lot was quiet. Steven walked to his car, unlocked it, paused before getting in. Behind him, the restaurant glowed through the windows. He could see the family still sitting at their table. The children eating slowly now, savoring every bite. The mother had stopped crying. She sat with her hands folded, watching her kids. Just watching. Steven got in his car, started the engine. His phone buzzed. A text from someone asking if he wanted to meet for drinks. He looked at it, deleted it, put the phone away. Inside the restaurant, the mother finished her meal. The server came by. "Can I get you anything else?" "Dessert, maybe." The children's eyes lit up. The mother hesitated, old instinct kicking in, calculating cost. The server leaned in, spoke quietly. "It's included." The mother looked at her. Understanding passed between them. "What do you have?" "Ice cream, chocolate cake, apple pie." "Can we get the ice cream?" the boy asked. "2." The girl added. "Please." The mother smiled. 3. The server wrote it down. "Coming right up." She walked away. The mother looked at the bag of food beside her chair. Enough for days, maybe a week if they stretched it. She wouldn't have to choose between feeding them or feeding herself tomorrow. They could all eat. The children were talking now, animated, happy, making plans for what they'd eat for breakfast. The mother listened. Let them dream. The server returned with 3 bowls of ice cream. Set them down. The family ate dessert together, not hurrying, not splitting portions, just eating, like a normal family on a normal night. Outside, Steven sat in his car, engine running, heat on. He thought about the mother's face, the way she'd asked for leftovers, not aggressively, not entitled, quietly, politely, with dignity even when asking for garbage. He thought about all the times he'd seen people throw away food, half-eaten meals, untouched bread, perfect fruit, and how many people were hungry right outside those doors. His phone buzzed again. Different person, asking about lunch tomorrow at some expensive place downtown. He typed back, "Can't. But let me suggest somewhere different." He sent the name of a community kitchen he knew, the kind of place that served anyone who walked in. No questions asked. Then he put the car in reverse. Inside, the family finished their ice cream. The mother stood, picked up the bag of food, held her children's hands. They walked to the exit together. The manager was standing near the door. "You folks have a good night. Thank you." The mother's voice was strong now, clear, for everything. "You're welcome back anytime," she nodded. Pushed open the door. The cold night air hit them. But they didn't seem to notice. They had food. They had each other. Tonight that was enough. Hunger doesn't always look desperate. Sometimes it looks polite. Sometimes it asks permission. Sometimes it waits quietly while the world throws away what it needs. And the world is changed not by loud generosity, but by noticing who is trying not to ask.